Okay, people, the DIY for the day is a customized glass entryway table. This is the plan. Sorry, the voiceover is off from the pictures, but you can stop it, pause it, whatever you need to do. So this is our supplies that you're going to need. You're going to need the rounds. Those rounds are going to be the base for my pedestal legs. They're about 8 inches. You're also going to need glue sticks, tape, paint, the rocks. You're also going to need these floor rounds I have back there. Green, you're going to need two of those. They're about 5 inches. Glue gun, of course, you're going to need some strong adhesive glue. Also, I think, well, I have a 6000 on the table, but I'm probably going to use Gorilla Glue, which you'll see in just a moment. Yes, the Gorilla Glue there. This is my board I got cut at Home Depot. It's 10 by 42, so it's 10 inches wide by 42 inches long. I just had them to cut it there. I've also measured out where I want the legs to be. So I measured from the side and the top, how far I want them to come in. So it's even. I've already drew the circles out for those, as you can see. This is the paint of my choice. I wanted mine to be black. That's also the color. That was also at Home Depot. I got the sample because I didn't need that much. These are the rounds that were just shown. They're 8-inch rounds. I'm going to get those ready to paint. And these are dowels that I'm going to try to create that fluted look around the base of the vases or the legs. It's double-sided tape that I'm going to use to tape it down to get them ready for painting. The double-sided tape just makes it easier to paint them so they don't move as much. And they're all taped down here. The dowels are 12 inches. So, and I did get those at Walmart. You would have to use as many as you need depending on how big your vase legs are or your stand legs are, and how many you're going to need to go around the entire thing. These are my rounds with the first coat of paint, second coat of paint, and the third coat of paint. And I have a satin finish. These are the dowels painted and ready to go. What I did was painted them, flipped them over, painted them, let them dry, did all of that till I got all the sides painted on the double-sided tape. These are my pedestals that I'm going to use. I have two of these. I got these at home. They're 36 inches tall by 7 inches wide. They're acrylic. They're not real glass, so they're not as heavy as they look. But I like the fact that they're really crystal clear. This is the Gorilla Glue. I'm going to go ahead and attach the bases to the bottom of the vase. You can use hot glue if you like. I just didn't want to use that because I wanted it to be smoother and laid flat. And sometimes hot glue can get kind of clumpy. But I'm going to go ahead and get those attached, and I'll show you those next. And there they are. I wish I had used the 10-inch rounds for the vase just to give it a little wider look at the bottom, but the 8-inch will work. I did let it dry for about 4 hours. I did add Mod Podge to the bases. I should have done it as soon as I finished painting, but it'll be okay. I added it to the portions that were actually showing. I painted my 34-inch dowels green just so to blend in with the plants a little bit better once I get them inside. So the rounds, I'm going to go ahead and get those put inside of the vases. I am going to glue them down with just a little bit of hot glue. And those are added in now. I did center the circle in the middle is where the dowel is going to go. That's going to hold the vines. I made that, put it inside to make sure it was going to be centered, and then I pulled them back out. So that's how that looks. I also cleaned the vases a little bit. They're still a little foggy, but I'm going to clean them again at the end. But I did clean the outside and inside with some glass cleaner to make sure they were as crystal clear as I can get them. And now we're adding in the dowels just to make sure they're centered. I'm going to pull them back out to actually do the vines on there, but I did want to make sure they were centered. And like I said, I added Mod Podge. That's just a second coat that I put onto the bases to make sure that the paint is protected a little bit. And this is where we are right now. So while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and work on the tabletop. I'm going to also pull those dowels out so I can go ahead and start attaching the vines to those. So let's move on to the tabletop. So this is the piece I had cut for the tabletop. I'm just looking at it right now, trying to decide whether I want to paint both sides or just the top and the edges. But before that, let's go ahead and get it sanded down because I don't want the ends all prickly or anything from where they cut the board down at Home Depot. Want to get it sanded and smoothed out, and then we'll move on to the paint. I do have some black contact paper or wallpaper that's peeling stick that I'm thinking about adding to the tabletop instead, but we'll decide that by the end of the video. You'll see which way I go by the end of the video. But anyway, here it is all painted. I did put 2 coats of the black paint on. I added 2 coats of Mod Podge. This is the last coat of the Mod Podge drying. So I'm going to put that to the side and let it dry while I move on to the dowels. And I am cutting those down to 6 inches. This is one of them already done. I just have to get the rest of them cut down. And remember, guys, they were 12-inch dowels, so I'm just cutting them in half. And that's all of them completed. I'm also working on the vines. I'm attaching those with hot glue to the 34-inch dowels. I am coming up about an inch from the bottom of the dowel to start my vines, and I'm going to take them all the way to the top. Now you can add whatever stems, flowers, whatever you want to add in there to customize it to your liking. This is just what I chose. Okay, so we've added the moss in. Right now inside of there is the floor around the rocks, and the moss is on top of that. The dot is just on there so I would know which side I want it to be the front. That's all. So here's the vines added into the bases. I did add a little bit of hot glue to the bottom of the dowel before I placed it inside just to give it a little more stability. And here are the vases with the fluted detailing on them. I decided only to do the fluting on the top portion and not the bottom, as I wanted more of the flowers to show. It doesn't have to be perfect because I am going to add jute around the edges to finish it off because those are kind of the colors within my home. I went ahead and put the cake plates on top. I added those so I would have somewhere to put my command strips down to add my tabletop to because like I said earlier, I don't want it permanently on there because when I move, I want it to be easy to disassemble. And as you can see, I went ahead and added the contact paper on the tabletop. I just thought it looked better. I thought it would be easy to clean up. This is the contact paper I decided to use. I chose this one because it has like a wood grain pattern on it, and I still wanted the tabletop to mimic wood, so that's why I chose this one. I'm sorry about the lighting, guys. If you want information on this, just comment below and I'll try to get that to you. Let's get the jute on and finish the entire assembly. So here's both bases all completed. I've added the jute around the top and the bottom, and I just like that look a whole lot better. Like I said, from the plan, I had the fluted detailing on the bottom, but I decided to only do it on the top. You can choose whichever way you want to do this yourself. And I don't know if I mentioned, but I did paint those cake platters that are on the top. They came silver, but I did paint those also the same color that I painted everything else. So here it is, guys, all decorated and placed at my front door. Like I said, this table is customizable. You can make it as big as you want or as small as you want. Whatever colors you want to use is fine. Those are the colors that are throughout my house, so that's why I chose those. But I think it looks great in this space. I did order a protective film to go on top of the tabletop just to protect the contact paper a little bit longer. And I'll add that when it comes in. But as of now, it looks great here and I love it. Comment down below and tell me what you think.